Good afternoon, morning, folks. Mike Wells, your world explorer. Today we are at the Sebastian Inlet State Park. We are actually at the south side. We're going to be doing some rock hounding just because we know that there are a ton of rocks to sort through. So let's get to it. I'm actually going to be going this way and traveling down this seawall. Now, a lot of folks like to fish here. I've actually been fishing here, but when I was fishing here, that's when I discovered all these rocks. So let's look. Okay, so back here, immediately I see rocks on the ground. Look at that. Those are just white stones. This one looks very suspicious. Holy smokes. You see that? Okay, so this I think is chert. This is really good chert, folks. This is a good rock. Holy smokes. Look at that blue. It's like agatized mollusks within this. So that's a really good stone. Excellent find for our first viewing. Let's just keep heading out, and I'm gonna head out there and I'm gonna show you what's out there. All right, so we're out here. Lots of folks like to hang out here. They go through in boats. They like to fish. You see it. Just a lot of people. It's a really good place for recreational activities. Anyhow, my thing is, I was looking at these rocks down here, and there are a lot of really good stones. Yeah, you're gonna find some nasty things like that, but steer clear. Look at these rocks though. I think this is chert right here, Florida chert. These are huge boulders of it. Oh yeah, look at this. This is the blue stuff. Okay, so if you look right here, you can see very clearly the blue that is in there. This is highly prized material. So if you ever can get your hands on any of this, I would highly recommend it, because you can work this material. Look down in there. You see all that blue? Look at that. Dang, I wish I could grab this boulder and just take it with me. Obviously that's not going to happen, but this is what I'm talking about. This is the kind of material that I would say is good to look for. So that specific boulder right there is highly prized, and I wish I could take it home, but I can't. I was just looking over here and I think I see some cellared stone. If it's not cellared, it's probably Anastasia stone, but this looks conchoidal, very interesting, and it has some good coloring to it. Like right there, you see those colors? Very it's like semi-gemmy. Oh, here's a good example of one. Look at that. You see that little vug of color right there? When you polish that up, it really brings out the colors. Let me just wet it. Let me just wet it a little bit so you can see. See, there we go. Look at that. Look at that color. It's pretty interesting. It's like orangish brown to like red. So that's very cool stuff there. So we're gonna look around. Most of this rock looks like it has the husk of the chert, okay? So extremely agatized rock here. Let's look down here. What is this? Okay, we see a lot of white, very light colored chert right here. I don't know, some of this looks like it might just be like cellared stone. Let's look over here. I gotta be very careful because I'm on these big rocks that could shift. All right, what are we looking at down here? Interesting. What's this? This just looks like some regular rock. Limestone. Let's go over here. Look at this. Oh, whoa. Look at this. This is definitely that chert. If you look up close, you can see it has chalcedony vugs. Look at that. That's chalcedony right there. Look at that. That's probably a fossil with chalcedony all over it. You see how that sparkles? Holy smokes. That's what I'm talking about, folks. I want that, but you know, it's all out here. Pretty sure it's all no take, but still, it's nice to see and give you an idea of what does exist here in Florida. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Here's some of the blue agate veins I've talked about in some of my previous videos. Look at that. This is that chert with the agate. Okay? Look at that blue agate running right through it. This is, if I could get a hold of stuff like that, I would definitely do so. Let's look up right here. I want to just capture it a little bit better on camera. You see that agate vein? Look at that. These will open up and show you a lot of pretty things. So we're in the right stuff. So let's look around. Let's look around a little bit more. We've got, what's down in here? I don't see anything that's shining out at me. Over here I see something. What's this? What is this? Dang, that's got some good stuff going on. What's that right there? Boom, look at those light cream colors and the blue. That's some beautiful stuff. Imagine that polished up. Just super fancy and pretty looking. Now I've gotten a hold of some of this material from dump piles from some of the mines before, and it's sitting in my yard. I haven't even processed any of it yet, but I have it. It seems to be abundant from the different mines and quarries. Look at this. Look at this agatized or chalcedony vug. Wow, that is an intense. Where are we? Am I on it? Yeah, I am. That's an intense sparkle right there. You see it? You see that chalcedony sparkle? Wow. Now, oh, look at that. What kind of rock is that? Holy smokes. I gotta get up. Folks, and really capture this. Dang, those colors. I've never seen that before. Look at that. I haven't even barely walked around, and I'm already seeing some amazing stuff. Look at that, huh? Look in there. Beautiful stuff. It's all over out here. They fortified this jetty, the walls, the inlet, with all these huge boulders of this kind of stuff. So yeah, it's out here. It's abundant. Whoa! Do you see what I see? Oh my gosh. Okay, let's dip down here. Look at the size of this chalcedony vug. Look at that botryoidal formation. Folks, this is one of the biggest vugs I've ever seen. Look at that. That's sparkly. That's some pretty stuff. Dang, if I had like a saw or something, a stone cutting saw. Look at that. There's more vuggage right there. It's a nice big cavity too. Look at that. Oh my gosh. Look at that. Look at that chalcedony right there. Look at how sparkly that is. Wow. Dang, I wish I could just... These are some high quality stones. I can't believe I'm just running into these first thing out here. I thought I was gonna have to look very hard for them to find anything like this, but nope. Here we are. Wow, this is basically agatized coquina stone. Literally, the coquina is made up of nothing but mollusk fossils. And the mollusk fossils are basically your clams and shells and all kinds of stuff like that. So, I see something else over here that I want to investigate. Wow, this whole thing is made up of this chert. Dang, look at that blue, folks. Let me get out of the sunlight because you need to be able to see this. But, wow, I see so much blue everywhere. I'm just looking around and it's all over the place. Look at this blue stone. Nobody even really knows this exists. Nobody like thinks around here in these areas, nobody thinks to use this. But this stuff right here is you're able to polish this up and use this in, like, say, your bathrooms as tiles and all kinds of things, your countertops if you wanted to. But nobody is doing this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at all that calcine right there. That is absolutely how you know this is a highly prized material. All that calcine, just, and it's very, that's how you know it's silicious of silicates. Very cool rocks. So, wow, there's a whole bunch of blue. Oh, I'm on an unsteady stone. Let's move over here. Let's take a look at this. Okay, so I'm sitting down. I want to look at this one. Let's go ahead and zoom in. It's got quite a bit of blue on it. What can we find on here that is truly amazing? It's just beautiful. The whole, the twin colors, the cream colors, when they come together like that. Look, can you see that blue vug right there? That is just super pretty in my opinion. Look at all the little shell fossils that are trapped in those silicates. Tell me this isn't valuable material. I think this is just extremely valuable material. What else can we find and spot out here? Just in this little spot. I see over here that they have some huge granite boulders. I'm not a fan of the granite boulders, like the pegmatites and whatnot. They're cool when you're up in North Carolina and Georgia and whatnot, but down here, not so much, because they're just very plain looking. We're in a location where people are trying to fish. So what I want to do is get out of their way. Yeah, I was here first, but that doesn't bother me. There's so much to see. Look at that. See that? Oh my gosh. The gemminess of all this is just insane. This is, man. See, that's a rock down there that I could probably grab and take home if I wanted to. See? There's just so much of this rock here. It's incredible. Now, there's a lot of stuff. Oh, look at this. Oh, I don't even know if I saw this stone earlier, but look at that agate vug. It's a vein. Dang, that is a beautiful, beautiful little vein right there. It tapers off into this stone up here. Wow. I'm saying though, huh? Look at that calcine right there. There's just so much to see. You see that calcine? That is some fancy, pretty sparkly stuff. Okay, so now we're looking at all these boulders here that are just granite. Now if I see some like super moonstone quality feldspar, I might say something, but right now I'm not seeing that. But look at this. Holy smokes. That's a beautiful, I'll bet you that whole stone is just amazing underneath of this surface, underneath this husk. Whew. All right, let's look around. Let's look further. Let's see what we can find. We're gonna find stuff, especially when we get down in that tidal zone down there. I don't know if I want to travel down there because I may wreck my camera. So we're just gonna stay up top here. Down that way, we're probably gonna find all kinds of amazing stuff. I'll point it out to you, but I do not have the capacity for collecting today. I just don't have a backpack on me. I got 2 pockets and they're pretty much full already of things that, like my wallet and my gear and all that stuff. Look at that stone down there. It's a big one, but I don't know if that's the chert. Oh, look at this fossil. Wow. Inside the side of that rock. You can find a ton of fossils. That's pretty much what all these rocks are made of. Nothing but mollusk fossils. But the gem quality stuff is on the inside of that husk. So let's keep looking around. What can we spot? I need you guys to tell me if you see anything that I didn't see. Holy smokes. See this? Let's look. Look at that blue. You see the conchoidal breaks in this? That's what makes it good for napping. You make it like arrowheads and spearheads and stuff out of knife scales and all that. Look at the blue though, huh? Look at the deep intrinsic value. It's just so, the aesthetics of it, just so beautiful. Wow. Especially down in there. Look at that. Look at that. Look at the, it's like a deeper cream blue. Just so beautiful. What do we have over here? Look at that, huh? Let's look up top here. Oh man, look at all that. Let's go ahead and get closer. Yeah, that's some amazing stuff. Very good. Now I'm gonna pull my camera back. We are gonna look around further. I want to spot as much of this beautiful stuff as I possibly can. You've already seen some incredible crystal forms. Stuff I've never seen before. Now I'm doing my best to look, okay? What can we spot in here? This one looks like it was definitely crystallizing all over the place. See here on the left. Let's look. See that? That has a tremendous amount of crystallization. This looks like pure cellared stone right there. That right there, down there, that looks like pure raw cellared stone. That's a very nice high quality piece too. Dang, I wish I could just pull that out of there. Wow. Let's see, something down there. Can I grab it? Let's see. Wow, I grabbed it. Yeah, that is absolutely cellared stone right there, folks. And the way you know is the jing. You hear that? That's a very solid piece. And the conchoidal forms and the white with the veins of stuff running through it. That is beautiful cellared stone right there. Shoot. It's crazy. Cellared stone doesn't really have a whole lot of mollusk fossils in it. So this is a giant piece of cellared. Look at this clam Look at this clam right here with all of this druzy on it. This chalcedony. Yeah, I'm sorry. My camera likes to have a mind of its own sometimes. It feeds off of gravity, so it moves. Anytime I move it, it tries to oppose gravity. So anyhow, we're looking around. I'm seeing some different type of rock that looks interesting over here. So let's take a look. Look at this, huh? Wow, you know what that is? That's a huge scallop fossil caught and trapped in that stone. I don't know what you call that stone because it's not quite coquina. It's not. It might just be limestone. I think there's some Alexandria stone in here too. This right here. It might be Alexandria stone. Let's look down here. I think I see some fossil coral. Let's go ahead and have a look at that. Look at this one, folks. You know what that is? That is quite possibly fossilized coral or just layers of something. Look at this. I don't know, that just might be layers of something. It's really hard to discern exactly what this is. See? Interesting though, huh? Look at that. It's gotta be fossil coral. Look at that. It's that large star fossil coral. That's what that is. Or brain fossil coral. I don't know. It's not tough to say. Tell me what you think. Okay, let's go up here. Let's see what we can spot down this way. We might see some shells all down throughout here. I'm not sure how all these shells got up in here other than by way of the ocean and some waves and some heavy activity. It's starting to get a little wicked. But look, bunch of shells down in there. If you're trying to shell hound, look at that, huh? Shells everywhere in here. All over. Look at that. Hundreds of them. Hundreds of shells. Wow. Look, they're all over the place. Look at that. Look at that vug of shells. Everywhere. There's a bunch of shells. Some interesting stones. That looks like cellared stone right there. Possibly. Oh, look at that. Look at that. That is definitely small star fossil coral that's been calcite replaced, is what I'm thinking. It's in that rock. All right, this is full-blown coquina stone right here. It's mostly basically hardened small shell particles and sand. Here's some something looks similar, but I don't think it's the same. Look at this. Look. Look at this fossil. Look at that. Boom. I don't know what kind of coral that is, but that is crazy looking. I've never seen that before. And I've been living out here for years and years. What else can we spot? See, this material out this way looks a little older. Not so new and fresh. But wait a minute. Look at this. Look at this. Hold up. I think this is a big cut, either a cut ribbed arc or a cockle. It's been buried up in there. Look at that. That's cool, huh? All right, we'll zoom out. Let's go up here. More of these coral forms. Wow, what kind of coral is that? I don't even know. That's crazy looking. And it's everywhere on this rock. Look at that. Look at that. Gosh dang. If you could cut into this big stone, these corals, what? You'd have something that looks good. Oh, look at this. Look at this. That's that chert. Look at that botryoidal right in there. That's a big vug. And look at that. There's the agate vug. Beautiful. This is some beautiful stone, folks. We're just going to keep looking around out here. And I'm going to take my time because that's how we find some amazing stuff. All right, what do we have down here? Here's a huge piece of Florida chert right down in here. Yep, that's pretty cool. It doesn't have the same gemmy stuff that I've seen, like this right here. That's a super gemmy vug right there. Super gemmy. It's a little darker than everything else, but look at how, oh my gosh, look at this. I gotta get on this side. I'm sorry, I gotta get on this side. All right, so what are we looking at here? Look at that vug, the agate, how it travels. There's veins of agate through here. That is intense. Imagine what that looked like if you polished it up. What? It's just sitting out here too. It's just such a shame. Here's some more pieces right here. See that? You see that blue? All right, so we've seen quite a bit in a short period of time. Here's some more right here. I'm just going to keep moving through this way. Now look at this rock. Holy smokes, gosh. Okay, so this one looks very, very similar to that chert that's up north, or what they call novaculite. Look at the gemminess of this. This is almost transparent over here. Look at all this down this way. Look at that. Wow. Wow, that's some fancy. That's a pretty good rock right there. Let's just keep heading. There's a big old boulder of chert right there. Keep heading this way. See some interesting forms there. All right, I see something. So this stone right here, look at this. Look at all that action. This agate vug, this vein, just travels. See, travels through the whole rock. Seems. Now look down here. Look at the size of that shell down there. What is that? Can you see it? Trying to zoom in. Boom! Look at that thing. I'm going to zoom in. You can see that. Lots of shells down there. So this is definitely a shelling location. Now let's go up this way. We've got some good. Look at this. Oh my God. Look at this. Whoa. You see the waves are getting a little bit splashy over here. Look at this. Dang, look at all the dark, deep cream blues in here. This is some high priority material, folks. Look at that. Oops. Yeah, my camera's acting up. Look at that though, huh? And then look down here. Wow. Look at the freaking, oh my gosh, that's some super high gemmy stuff right there. Look at that. That whole stone with some gemminess. We'll just keep moving this way. Let's look down here. What's this rock doing? Wow. Look at this vein. Look at that. That is spectacular. I really wonder how sellable this material would be all polished up. Probably pretty sellable. Look at this. Look at this agatized blue agate at that. Mollusk fossil. That is some really good looking stuff right there. See? And then look over here. More going on this way. Let's check this guy out right here. What is that? That's some type of mollusk fossil. We're going to keep heading down this way. These rocks, these chert rocks are everywhere. I mean, if you wanted something that was, you know, the size of your hand, you could easily find that. Oh my gosh. Excuse me. You got to see what I see. Look at the amount of shells that have piled up in here. This is insane. If you wanted to collect shells, my gosh. Look at all these shells. Just abundance. Whoa, look at this chalcedony botryoidal pocket. Look at that. That's in that rock. See? Look at that. That is amazing. Beautiful, huh? Let's just keep our eyes open. Let's see what else we can find. I'm telling you what, right now I see a lot of blue. I'm just looking up ahead barely. I can see a lot of blue. I want to see huge veins of blue, like deep. I know we're going to find something like that. Look at this. This is incredible, folks. I'm about to show you something. Look at this. There's a nice little vug right there of chalcedony. This is blue. Look at the botryoidal form in that one. Wow, that's the remnant of a shell. That is so crazy. Beautiful. Let's look over here. Let's look over here. What do we have here? A lot of that's cracked or fractured. It wouldn't take much to break the rest of it off. Look at that. Beautiful. I mean, holy smokes. That whole stone. Just good stuff. Lots of blue. Let's move around. I'm starting to see, wow, this one over here is almost completely blue. I don't see a whole lot of agate, but when you break this stuff up, it's deeper. You'll find more stuff. Look at that. It's not bad. Let's look over this way. I saw a bunch of blue over here. You're seeing all kinds of stuff. Look at that. Look at that. It's like calcite replaced coral right there. I don't know what kind of coral form that is though. See? I don't know what that is. Let's look over here. I see a bunch of blue chert right there. More blue chert right there. I see some deeper blue cherts up top. But we're just gonna keep heading this way because we got some people fishing over there and I don't want to disturb them. Look at this stone right here. This is worthy of carry out, for instance. Look at that, but look at the pretty stuff going on inside of that stone. It has some botryoidal and chalcedony going on at the same time at that spot. Watch this. You can move that rock. All right, I flipped it. Look at that. It's got something going on. It's pretty decent. It's very light blue, mostly. But that is a carry-out stone. Look at this botryoidal formation over here. Wow. This whole rock right here. It's got a ton of the botryoidal going on. See? Look at that vug. That's a pocket of botryoidal right there. Pretty good, huh? Wow. That light blue. I'm telling you. It's captivating. Let's see what else we can find. I mean, there's just so much going on here. If you go down here in the tidal zone, you can find like oyster formations. You can find barnacle formations. You can find all kinds of stuff. These are interesting rocks with the striations in them, but they're huge. See, I see a bunch of them right here. Look at that. Look at those striations. Colorful. Colorful there. I'm not sure what kind of stone that is. It seems to have a whole bunch of chalcedony on it. Holy smokes. This is the biggest set of chalcedony that I have seen so far. Look at that. Look at that. Look. It's insane. Let me just zoom in. Boom. Look at that chalcedony. Look at that sparkle. This whole thing is basically chalcedony. This whole side right here. That's pretty cool. So what else can we locate while we're out here? I'm looking around. More and more. Huh. So many shells. Look at this. I'm about to show you how many shells. Look. Look at all these shells. Bunch of shells there. All the way down here. Bunch of shells. All the way this way. This way. Up and in there. Shells everywhere. If I wanted to do some shelling or shell hounding. Whoa, look at this. This looks like novaculite. This definitely looks like novaculite. That's crazy. Look at the size of this. This is like a pure gemmy boulder. Oh wait. Look at all these shells. That's insane. Some good stuff in there. Look over here, I see a lightning whelk. Look at that whelk. That's a lightning whelk. Oh, there's just shells everywhere. I gotta get off the shells. Look at that novaculite boulder. That is just one big, very high quality novaculite. Oh yeah, look at this. Look at the blue. Look at that blue. Wow. So much going on with this boulder. Folks, all I would need is one of these boulders. I don't need much more than that. I can't handle more than that. Look at that. That beautiful, very high definition, gemmy quality blue. What are we gonna do? Just sitting out here waiting for the elements to move it a couple inches. What else can we spot? I'm gonna actually start to intensify my search and look for the highest quality opportunities. More shells, folks. Look at all these shells. Holy smokes. Just shells on shells on shells. I can't believe it. Shells everywhere. Shells all over the place. All right, let's keep it moving. Coming down here. I'm going to intensify my search and kind of expedite things a little. That's a nice one. Look at this. Look at this one. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Holy smokes. The quality on this stone. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that, the agate. Look in there, over there. Wow. So let's look on top here too. This is what I'm talking about. Look at that agate. This has pockets inside of it too. Look over here. Look at this. Man. Okay, so how much of this is that really good blue? Look, this one boulder just has so much going on for it. See that? Wow. Look at all these shells. Dude. How many shells can we spot? I mean, how many shells are there? There's just shells on shells on shells, man. Who is gonna go shell hounding today? Oh my gosh. Look at all the shells. Jeez. Ooh, look at that boulder. That's got a lot of striations running through it. That's pretty. Oh, there's a bigger shell. Look at that one. Look at that, huh? Look at the size of that one. It's probably a knobbed whelk. Let's look around further. All the shells, man. Look at this. This is gonna blow your mind. Look at all these shells. There are unprecedented amounts of shells here. Look at this chaos. Everything down there is shelly. Man, the abundance. Okay, so I'm looking at these chert boulders. Some of this stuff is interesting right here, like this. I've never seen anything like that yet. Let's move this way. We've got some more blue going on right here. Beautiful. Look at that. Look at that right there. That's nice. Look at that one. Another vug. Very cool stuff. How much more can we spot? We're just gonna keep heading this way looking for the high grade stuff. What else we can get? Here's a bunch of blue there. Let's look over here. Look at that, huh? What else can we spot? Look at all the blue on this. I don't see a lot of mollusks in there. So I guess the blue can form where there are no mollusks, or maybe very little. I don't know. You just never know with these rocks. What do we got going on here? Look at that. Not bad, eh? Wait, let's check this out. If I could get closer, that's what I'll do. Look. Wow, look at that one. Not bad, folks. Wow. That is interesting. It's almost like a supercharged vein or something. It's like super concentrated beauty. My God. It's so beautiful. All right, let's see what else we can spot down here. So now I'm running into huge coquina boulders, and we're just gonna keep heading this way, see what we can spot. All right. Ooh, look at this shell that I just found. Holy smokes. Look at this. Wow. I've never seen one like that before. Definitely a fossil, but hey, and it's in that rock, so I'm not going to be trying to get it out either. That's cool to see. Almost slipped. Phew. Let's keep looking. Keep looking around. More shells. Unprecedented amount of shells here, folks. If you're into shelling, this is where you gotta come. Look at this. Look at the colors of shells in there. Oh my gosh, I see all kinds of stuff. Oh, I was telling you about like barnacle stuff. Look at that, that's a barnacle fragment right there. The barnacles have beautiful colors. So when you spot barnacles, they're unmistakable and undeniable because of their colors. Let's go this way. Let's go up here. Ooh, I see a giant lizard. Look, you see him? He's just chilling on that big rock. He likes chert almost as much as I do. See, he's marked himself a chert stone. See if we can get closer to him without him running off. Okay, I'm going down here first. Let's see, what can I spot to show you? These look like old oyster beds or something because of the shapes of these nodules. Very interesting, something noteworthy. Look at that, huh? Look at that. That's a lightning well flute. It's left behind. It's pretty long. It's like five inches. Okay. Oh, look at this. This is a prime example of some good cellared stone. Look at those veins between the white. That's what makes this stuff valuable, is when you can catch segments of the stone that look like that. So let's go over this way. Look at all these shells down here. I don't know how all these shells got deposited here. Maybe it's just storms, but there are so many shells. So many shells down here. Let's go ahead and pull back. All right, where are we at and where do we want to be? Moving up this way. I don't see any more chert. I'm wondering if we are out of the chert zone. That looks like it could be, but I don't know. Let's just keep our eyes peeled. I don't know what that is. It's probably just fungus growing on the rock. Yeah, that's got to be what it is. We're gonna bypass some of this. Look at the size of that clam. That would have been whole too. Both sides of the clam, look. Here's my hand. So that gives you an example. That's a pretty big clam that was there. Whoa, I'm about to slip. We're gonna move up this way a bit. Now I'm gonna break back through. All right, I'm starting to see some different stuff. This is really interesting. Okay, so look at this. This is crazy looking. These are big clams. I wonder if they're calcite replaced, but this whole rock, holy smokes. Let's look. Let's try to get down up underneath this rock right here. What's that? Is that calcite? I think it is. I think it's a little bit of calcite, but this is that good stuff that we might want to investigate. This stuff right here. See? Look at that right there. All the clams and all the coral fossils that are in this stone. Look at that right there. See these? These are whole. See that? Both halves. Very interesting stuff. Oh, look here. There's more of the same. And then over here, there's a little bit different. I see some scallops. This material is pretty interesting. All right. There is just so much to see. Look at this. Look at this boulder here. Now this is where the Mercenaria permagna clams come out of. This material right here. And that's what those are. And they are mostly calcite replaced or in process. You could probably break this stone apart and find decent specimens. Look at this. Let's see what the underside of this stone will show us. I don't see any calcite crystals jutting out, so maybe that boulder is not a high priority one. Okay, we're starting to get back into what looks like the chert material, which is cool because I really enjoy that material. Wow, look at this. Look at that chalcedony bug. You can kind of see some of the sparkles. Yeah, you see that? Pretty cool. This whole rock here looks like chert. Those look like chert. I mean, my gosh. One of them has some good veins. Let's take a look at that one. Look at this, folks. I'm just gonna browse over this thing slowly so you can see. Look at those veins. Those are some gemmy looking veins. Look at that. I mean, I think there might be some blue deeper down into that stone. Where can we find some of the highest grade stuff? This looks like a pretty decent stone right here. Look at that. See? Let's go further. We are gonna find some serious stuff at some point soon. I'm thinking. You can't look this long through this much material and not find some seriously incredible stuff. Look down here. Look. Look at that. See some of the dark blue in there? That is some intense quality right there. Some amazing stuff. Look at these stones. Look at that, huh? That's got some character. Let's go this way. Let's keep working. Keep looking. So here's some good stuff. Look at that. It's got some good quality going on in there. I know a lot of folks who would really enjoy if their bathrooms were made of this material. Just the transitioning blue to the cream color, beige. I mean, people with some money might be interested in this stuff. Look at this. This is it. One. Look at that. Can you see that? Can you see those? That's some pretty cool stuff, huh? Let's keep it moving. Oh my gosh. Look at these huge Mercenaria permagna boulders. Let's see if we can spot any calcite that's worth talking about. I'm not seeing it, except for some calcite that is druzy calcite right up in there. You break that thing apart though, you're gonna find stuff because the calcite is there. Wow. There's another couple of big clam boulders over here. Look at this. Look at this one. There has to be calcite like under some of these caps. Look, you can see right there. There's a clam that's been, it was being replaced with calcite. Look at these clam caps over here. People done busted those open probably over the years, you know, by just stepping on them. But look, underneath of them, you find these crystals. Look, they're right there. Can you see that? There, that's a yellow golden calcite crystals all up under these clams. There's a lot of clams on this boulder. What is that? Please tell me. Dang it. Almost thought that was some chert, because that's a pocket rock. I'm definitely taking that if that's chert. The high grade stuff. Look at that stone, huh? That's a pretty nice looking, I think that's Alexandria right there. Almost fell. Almost fell. It's a good thing there's no green slime on these rocks, because I'd have slipped. It would have been over. Look at that, huh? There's the giant clams in the matrix. This is some interesting material, folks. All of this stuff. Oh, you know what? Look at this. This is the gnarly layer that exists in the earth right before all the crystals really start to jut out everywhere. So this rock probably has some crystals on it. What's that? What is that? Okay, so there's a good, that's just a tiny example of crystals. Now you can see a few of those calcite crystals. That's what I'm talking about, though. A bunch of crystals exist. Oh, look. Okay, I gotta show you this. I'm so sorry. It's so hard to navigate these rocks. Look at that. That would have been a huge whelk geode. See? It doesn't have a lot going on in the way of crystals. I think people probably just destroyed the crystals over time, but yeah, that would have had some significant crystal activity at some point in its history. Okay, so I'm finding more chert, especially right up here. My God, look at all these chert stones. Big, beautiful blue chert right there. We'll take a look at these real quick. I'm just trying to spot high grade stuff right away. I'm not seeing it. The blue is always an indication that you're in the right spot. There's the blue there. That's pretty good stuff, but I think I need to keep looking. Where else are we gonna spot this stuff? Let's look this way. Here's some more blue right there. Pretty cool, but not exactly what I'm looking for. That rock right there, I want to take it with me. I wish I could. Whew, that one is arm size. You could literally carry that one out. Wow, look at the size of this clam. Wow, that would have, oh my gosh, look how big that clam would have been. Look at this. Look at the size of this. Look at my hand. It's bigger than my hand. Look at the size of that clam. Man. And it's got calcite. Okay, so there would have been calcite all up in this rock. Dang. Oh, snaps. Look at this. This is a high quality vein. Okay, let's look. We're gonna travel this vein. I just want to show you this vein. Look at that. Folks, look at that. All of that is like agatized, druzy quartz. Beautiful. This is going to be like a high grade stone right here, right up in that whole area, that zone. Great find. I'm going to keep heading this way and see what we can get. So sometimes you find a stone like this. It's got mixes of stuff. Like there's a little calcite in there. You know, there was a big whelk right there. There was a whole bunch of clams. But when you see a bivalve that is intact, like this one, try to take that out and take it with you, because that's rare. Okay. Let's look over this way. Wow, so many big rocks with clams in them. Look at this thing. It's got quadrillion clams going on. Phew. Amazing stuff, folks. I can't tell you how many different types of stone are out here. Look at this. You got granite from like 3 different locations in the United States. You got all this quarry stone from all kinds of quarries all over this place. Oh, look at this granite stone. Okay, so this one's worth looking at, okay? This is where things were converging and folding heavily in the earth. Very interesting stone there. Let's keep going. What else can we spot? I just want to spot some real good high quality stuff. Oh, I see a bunch of chert up front, up ahead. I see some of this coquina that I'm stepping on, and it's not really all that good looking. Look at the size of this blue on this stone here. Look at this. Oh my gosh. You have to see this. Look at that. That was that's an amazing specimen right there. But look at what this transitions into. That is some high quality blue right there. High quality blue. Look. This is such a good rock. Wish I could just break off chunks of this stone and take it with me. Look, here's some good blue right here. This stone ain't bad. Look over here. There's some decent quality blue up in here. A lot of heavy blue. Look at that. Look at the heavy blue. Such a strong concentration. Look at this druzy. Wow. See those sparkles? It's just incredible. Incredible. And that exists here. I never thought that existed here in Florida until I started checking these rocks out and going to quarries and going to the different mines and asking questions and digging a little bit where they allow you to dig and pay digs and all that stuff. You find this stuff. But they got to get more aggressive with the different types of material they could offer, because these cherts are worth it. Nobody's selling this stuff. Nobody's doing anything about this stuff. They're just tossing it into driveways, just running it over. They don't care. It's really sad. Let's keep looking. What else can we find? Look, this is a high quality beige sample with blue inclusions. Look at that. I really, really wish I could take that home with me. That is just so aesthetically unique and beautiful. Look at this. Look at this. Oh my gosh. Look at those little veins, how they just run through. Intense. Look at that. Very cool, huh? Let's go. What do we got here? Look at that. Gosh, these are some real decent specimens, folks. Look at this. Look what's going on here. So beautiful. Look at the deep blue in there. What? You see that? Dang. So many details worth capturing. Folks, this goes for hundreds of meters, okay? I'm not gonna be able to cover all this today. I do want to, but the sun's about to get down to where I need to get home. So let's take a look at a few more things, a few more beautiful specimens. This one's not bad at all. It's got a lot of crystal form to it. See? Yeah, that is a nice one. Oop, let me get up off this rock. I think the water's trying to chase me. Look at the blue in that. Subtle. Beautiful though. And I think we are running out of our blue. Here's some more of that other. I think this would be considered cellared stone. I don't know. Maybe it's like a cross between cellared or chert. Who knows? Yeah, it's mostly chert. Okay, so that's how you know it's the chert. Right there, that blue agate that forms in all those mollusks that are sheared off right there. Folks, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. That definitely helps the channel grow. And stay tuned, because I got a lot more stuff from Florida to show you. Have a great day.